So I think a lot about how brands have to scale these days, and it's really tough in the sense that dollars are tight. Not having that funding means that they need to create systems that can sustain their overall growth and trajectory of that growth. So when I try to get people to adopt AI, I try to show them the math. If you were to hire an analyst and it's going to cost you 50 to 80 grand, what could you do that creates a sustainable system?
So welcome back to the heySynth experience. Today we have Sabrina. I think she has one of the most fun jobs out there, to be honest, because Sabrina sits right at the intersection of retail operations and strategy, as well as the future of AI in commerce. She has built her career inside the biggest retail brands in the country and has taken roles in category management to supply chain transformation. And now she is one of the sharpest voices, literally, helping emerging brands use AI to scale smarter, faster, and with a lot less chaos. She's also a mentor at the SKU Accelerator, as well as a trusted advisor to founders, including Synth. And when she's not solving complex platform issues or problems, you might find her playing golf. So, welcome to the show, Sabrina. We're excited to dig into your journey, your perspective, and the future of operations.
Thanks, Lloyd. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. So, we're going to start with one random question. If your morning routine were a Spotify or Apple Music playlist, what would you be listening to?
So I wake up super excited about the day, and there is an Apple playlist called Fifth Gear. So it's really intense country music that starts my day, which is normally my workout routine.
Country music.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Do you have any favorite like song or artist you're listening to right now?
Morgan Wallen's still top of the list.
Oh,
Yep. He's
amazing.
great.
Cool. And tell me something really interesting. What's something people would never guess about you from your LinkedIn profile, which is
Oh,
super impressive.
So something from my LinkedIn profile is that, or not from my LinkedIn profile, is that I grew up in a really small town of 40,000 people. So embedded in that is a lot of culture for me, and my family has been, small business owners in that community for quite some time.
I always wondered what it feels like to grow in a small town like that.
Yeah.
I grew up in the town that had what maybe 5 million, 10 million people,
Oh,
and
wow.
then eventually moved to a bigger town that had like 20 million people. So I've always been living in like massive cities
Mhm.
since I can remember. But yeah, thanks for sharing that. So let's now dig deep into your own story. You've led teams across retail, analytics, operations, category management, and now in AI strategy. Which project in your career felt the most fun? The one that made you say, "Yep, this is why I do this now."
Yeah. I mean, the one that was the absolute most fun for me is I had an opportunity when I worked for Sprouts to build an analytical team from the ground up. So when I started, it was literally just myself and one analyst. And when I left, it was, 15 plus people, multiple managers. And what was interesting about that journey is we were taking people through change management along the way. So at that time, the category managers had been doing all their own analytics. And we have this new team coming in, and we want to help them find solutions and look at the data differently. And they didn't want to have anything to do with us. Oftentimes, my team would go in really excited and ready to share some insight, and the category manager would look back at my team and say, "Well, I already know that. Tell me something I don't know." And so we had to overcome the cultural aspect of how are we adding value. And I think as a leader, it really taught me to think about, where is the value equation for whatever customer I'm serving. And it was a really fun time. The team was energetic. We learned a lot, and we became an indispensable resource. At the end, I had a director literally say to one of my team members, "Can you hold off on having your baby? We need to get through QBR." And that made me feel as if we had met the mark.
Yeah, that's really cool. Change management is hard.
Yes, it
We've
is.
when onboarding new brands, whether it's a person team or it is 100 or 200 employees, it's hard. We've seen the same dynamic play out. And so it's interesting you shared this. But I mean, when working with brands, what's been your greatest experience, learning experience when helping them change from one system to a different system, or now with AI, when they're looking to implement AI in their workflows, do you see any lessons that you've applied from your time, of course, at retail, but also now advising brands during like change management?
Well, I think that's what's unique about AI. So, I talk to a lot of founders and they are using it very frequently. So, my journey with those founders has been over the last few years. And at first, they still didn't quite know how to prompt, and their acceleration over just the last year and a half has been tremendous. However, when you talk to them, they still haven't fully unlocked the potential of what AI can do. And so they think in their head, I'm using it to the best of its ability. It's solving all of my needs. And it is, but oftentimes it's solving it in a very tactical way and not a strategic way. And so what I work with when I work with the brands, I help them develop a command center that's rooted in custom GPTs. And a custom GPT, serves a certain purpose, a niche. And when they have, multiple custom GPTs, they have, multiple employees that they might not be able to hire themselves, and they're able to do things that they never imagined that AI could do.
You work with a ton of early stage founders, both at SKU and maybe in other things that you have. When it comes to brand building, like what do you enjoy most about working with early stage founders? What's exciting about that? And if you were to use a round of golf analogy, what hole do most founders get stuck on?
Yeah, so I mean, if I think about a round of golf, right, the first nine, you're either winning or you're not winning, and you have the opportunity as you go into the back nine to kind of change the trajectory of your game. And so most early stage founders come out of the first nine feeling fantastic, right? They just had the best game. They may have gotten really cool placement and they're getting the momentum. People are recognizing what they're doing and they're just thrilled that what they've started maybe in their basement or their kitchen, people are starting to recognize and are excited about. But by about hole 12, you really start to see, who really has the fortitude to take it to the next level. And that's where either they have to hire some additional resources to continue to be effective, or they have to hunker down
Yeah.
and really focus on all the right things that's going to get them that acceleration that they need long term to be successful and potentially exit.
Yeah. You also champion, founders through
Yes.
mentoring, community building, and helping teams adopt AI, like custom GPT, like you just said. What purpose-driven work is most meaningful to you right now, and how does it connect to the passions that keep you energized to keep on going every day?
I mean, for me, the purpose-driven work that I do is teaching people how to unlock the art of what's possible with AI. Which is why, when we joined up, I was like, wow, like the days of me, doing inventory planning with large teams and how cumbersome that was and how much time we had to take to look at the individual details and understand the supply chain and all those pieces and parts and the components and what our vendors were saying. The innovation is coming so fast. And so working with brands to understand the art of what's possible, I think of it in two ways: horizontal tools, so like your standard LLMs, your Gemini, your ChatGPT, those types of broader tools, and vertical tools. And your tool falls into a vertical tool in the sense that it serves a very specific function that allows brands to amplify what they need and get the solutions related to inventory planning so they can stay in their zone of genius. Most founders started this because they have a creative passion. They
Yeah.
don't want to be in front of a spreadsheet determining if they're going to run out. They want Synth's product to be able to send in an agent and determine, hey, we've got this problem over here, and it's because we ran this promo and it's really successful. Or over here, we're about to run out, or we got a cost increase coming down the pipes, and here's how it's going to affect our inventory values. That's the benefit of having a vertical tool integrated into your overall AI systems that allows these brands to continue to gain the momentum that they need.
Yeah, and I know just last week you were testing out a new feature we built, and you
Mhm.
gave lots of feedback. Let's move on.
Welcome.
So many founders cling to spreadsheets, like like they hold on to like a security blanket. In your experience, what makes it so hard to let go from, say, spreadsheets to shift into like AI tools, like a synth or similar tools that really help brands or founders solve like specific vertical problems.
Personally, I think there's a lot connected to their overall mindset. So, whether you're in CPG or you're in retail, some of the path that you've gone down, it has been hard. And you attribute how hard it is to your own value and how you are giving back to your organization. So that's a portion of it. The other portion is they're skeptics. So when it's so easy, and it's almost like magic. They want to know what's behind the magic. And if they can't see it, they don't believe it. It's like when you go to a magic show and they do this really cool thing and you're like, how did that happen? Well, if you don't know how it happened, then that's where it's really hard for them to be believers that there's truth behind the data. And so as you work with these individual founders, helping them see behind the curtain and showing them that your algorithms are as strong or better than some of these legacy systems that are out there, and how you're thinking of things even more holistically than these legacy systems. Bringing in cool stuff like what's happening with the user-generated content, or trends that we're seeing in the market. All of that's really important. These legacy systems haven't figured out how to pull in those unique factors that all affect how people are purchasing.
Yeah, you talked about trust, and it's critical, especially with AI, because
Mhm.
it just feels magical. And one of the things I was struggled with early on was explaining to brand how our forecasting model works, for instance, because
Right.
we show them, okay, they use a platform for say 3 months, and they see synth is near accurate to their real-time sales. And they now ask, okay, so how does synth make decisions? And we tell them like what goes into the forecast. But because we have all unique algorithms and things we built behind, we can't disclose every single thing. There's always that, though there used to be that initial pushback where a brand like, hey, but I need to know this stuff, to know if I can trust it. And we tell them, well, you can trust it because the last 3 months, it was
Yes.
fairly accurate. But now we've moved past that, and we're now figuring out ways in which we could they can interact with their forecast and ask synth questions about their forecast to get more insight into how are you forecasting that I will sell X, units or dollars in April 2026. Like what goes into that forecast? And now they're able to get that insight. But yes, back to what you said, trust is critical. And I think many tools out there just need to enable these interfaces where customers or users can go a bit deeper to understand what's behind the hood. But also not moving on, when it comes to AI adoption, and you
Mhm.
are like super early, you've been on this train for, I think since 2023, something like that,
Yes.
when the early days of ChatGPT and things like that. When founders are curious but hesitant, how do you frame AI not as a threat, but as a competitive advantage for brands that are trying to scale?
So I think a lot about how brands have to scale these days, and it's really tough in the sense that dollars are tight. So it used to be that founders could go and find, additional dollars from VC and that type of thing. All of that today is starting to be funneled into technology. And so what used to be maybe whatever the odds were are now half of what they used to be. And so not having that funding means that they need to create systems that are important, that can sustain their overall growth and trajectory of that growth. So when I try to get people to adopt AI, try to show them the math of, okay, if you were to hire an analyst and it's going to cost you 50 to 80 grand, what could you do that creates a sustainable system, whether that's a vertical system or horizontal system, and what's the payback on that particular system versus hiring that? And if you didn't hire that individual, could you be deploying those dollars into product development or inventory or infrastructure? And will that overall grow your sales even faster because you're able to redeploy that energy and as well as those dollars into things that are more meaningful for your brand? And then the second part is really boils down to the founder. The founder, again, they've worked really hard to start from zero to get to one on something that was just an idea in their head. And what I try to get them to focus on is how does AI amplify your work and not necessarily replace you? And if it amplifies your work or takes things off your plate that you don't really enjoy doing, that allows you to stay in your zone of genius. And you being in your zone of genius is more beneficial to your company long term than if you're doing something mundane that you don't enjoy doing.
That's a very good framing. Thanks for that. And so on that subject, if you could give one piece of advice to founders that are scaling like their brands right now, especially going into a more AI native world, what would it be?
Oh, great question. I would say stay curious. Of all the things that is changing every single day with AI, you have to continue to stay curious because every day, every hour, something is changing with a new tool, a new feature in one of the major LLMs, and you have to be looking for that knowledge in a positive way that you can say, okay, with this filter, that makes sense for my business. Or no, I don't need to get distracted with how to, change my website through vibe coding. I need to instead stay focused on, a vertical tool like a synth that's going to improve my inventory accuracy and allow me to be more profitable.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks. I hope that, brands listening to this will take that advice.
Yes.
So a quick fire round.
All
I
right,
have
let's
some
do it.
random questions. This one should be exciting. Favorite emerging brand right now? What's the brand like that you love so much that is new, upcoming, that you
Mhm.
think everyone should know about or use?
So my favorite emerging brand right now is Groons. So Groons, if you don't know about it, is basically in a small pack of gummies. You can get all the vitamins that you need. And so having been a power user for quite some time of lots of different supplements, it really changes the game to think that you're not, having a handful of pills that you have to swallow. And they've been, really solid with their DTC business and then start to expand to retail. And it's shocking what their valuation has been in such a short period of time. And they're really doing some creative things. And I think it's definitely one to watch. So we saw everything be built with athletic greens and how successful they were. They followed that similar model and they are sending shockwaves through the industry.
Wow, I'll try it out. Dream golf course to play.
There is a dream golf course in Mexico called Dezante Bay that is just breathtakingly gorgeous. So it's definitely on my list. And then, of course, there's always some great courses here in the US. And I really want to get to St. George, Utah.
Cool. Last one is, as a DJ, I'm going to ask you this. If your
Okay.
career were a DJ set, what genre would you be playing and why? I think I have an idea, but yeah, tell
No,
me.
actually, you might not. I'm going to throw you for a loop because it's where we started and where we're headed at this point. So my genre that really describes my career would be hip hop because it's a way in which you can tell your true, authentic story that may be different than the average, and you can bring to life some of the things you've had to overcome and triumphs you've had and successes along the way. And so when I think about a genre that defines my career and the fact that I continue to reinvent what I'm able to provide value back into the world, it's got to be hip hop.
Any rappers we need to know about or listen to?
No, I mean everything's pretty old school for me at this point. The newer rappers, they don't do it for me.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, Sabrina. I really enjoyed chatting with you as always. So thanks for making our time to share your thoughts and your experience with our listeners. But yeah, I hope you have a wonderful holiday with your family and friends. And yeah, looking forward to chatting very soon.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed our conversation and our partnership. And I also wish you a wonderful holiday with your family.